Per the AP, the public release of a young Republican group chat that included racist language, jokes about rape, and flippant commentary on gas chambers prompted bipartisan calls for those involved to be removed from or resign their positions. The Young Republican National Federation, the GOP's political organization for Republicans between 18 and 40, called for those involved to step down from the organization. The group described the exchanges first reported by Politico as unbecoming of any Republican. Republican Vice President J.D. Vance, however, has weighed in several times to speak out against what he characterized as pearl clutching over the leaked messages. Politico obtained months of exchanges from a Telegram conversation between leaders and members of the Young Republican National Federation, some of its affiliates in New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. Here's a rundown of reaction to the inflammatory group chat in which the operatives and officials involved openly worried that their comments might be leaked, even as they continued their conversation.
New fallout after the leak of racist text messages linked to members of young Republican groups across the country. The website Politico says it obtained 7 months' worth of messages from a group chat in which racist and anti-Semitic slurs were used more than 250 times.
It's awful, it's revolting, it's disgusting, it's obnoxious.
Politico says Peter Junta, who was the chair of the New York State Young Republicans, allegedly wrote in a text message, "Everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber." In another exchange, Junta reportedly responded, "Great. I love Hitler," during a discussion about backing a right-wing candidate. Some Republicans have denounced the language, while Vice President J.D. Vance dismissed the messages as edgy, offensive jokes.
We're not canceling kids because they do something stupid in a group chat.
But reports say at least 8 of the 11 participants in the group chat are between 24 and 34 years old and include a state senator from Vermont and a federal official. Some participants apologizing, while others, including Junta, claim the messages were taken out of context or doctored. California Governor Gavin Newsom is demanding a congressional investigation. Vice President J.D. Vance says some Democrats have said worse and says there should not be a rush to judgment.
By the way, if they were left-wing kids telling stupid left-wing jokes, I would also not want their lives to be ruined because they're saying something stupid in a private group chat.
After Politico's initial report Tuesday, Vance posted on X a screen grab from a 2022 text message in which Jay Jones, the Democratic candidate in Virginia's Attorney General's race, suggested that a prominent Republican get 2 bullets to the head. This is far worse than anything said in a college group chat, and the guy who said it could become the AG of Virginia. Vance wrote Tuesday, "I refuse to join the pearl clutching when powerful people call for political violence." Jones has taken full responsibility for his comments and offered a public apology to Todd Gilbert, who then was Speaker of Virginia's House of Delegates. Vance reiterated his initial sentiment Wednesday on the Charlie Kirk Show podcast, saying when asked about the reporting that a person seriously wishing for political violence and political assassination is 1,000 times worse than what a bunch of young people, a bunch of kids say in a group chat, however offensive it might be. Vance, 41, said he grew up in a different era where most of what stupid things that I did as a teenager and as a young adult, they're not on the internet. The father of 3 said he would caution his own children, especially my boys, don't put things on the internet like be careful what you post. If you put something in a group chat, assume that some scumbag is going to leak it in an effort to try to cause you harm or cause your family harm. I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a very offensive, stupid joke, cause to ruin their lives, Vance said. Pause it right there if you could. Here's a little bit of advice for you, JD. Maybe teach your kids not to believe those things first before we tell them not to talk about them or say them out loud. How about teaching your kids not to be Nazis? And just while we're talking about political violence here, pretty sure threatening to put people in a gas chamber is a form of violence. Just a thought. Let's go through some more of these reactions. Other Republicans demanded more immediate intervention. Republican legislative leaders in Vermont, along with Governor Phil Scott, also a Republican, called for the resignation of State Senator Sam Douglas, revealed to be a participant in the chat. A joint statement from the GOP lawmakers termed the comments unacceptable and deeply disturbing, saying she was absolutely appalled to learn about the alleged comments made by leaders of the New York State Young Republicans. Representative Elise Stefanik of New York called for those involved to step down for their positions. Denandri Herbert, chair of the Kansas GOP, said the remarks do not reflect the beliefs of Republicans and certainly not of Kansas Republicans at large. In a statement posted to X on Tuesday, the Young Republican National Federation said it was appalled by the reported messages and calling for those involved to resign from their positions within the organization. Young Republican leaders said the behavior was disgraceful, unbecoming of any Republican, and stands in direct opposition to the values our movement represents. Democrats have been more uniform in their condemnation. On Wednesday, California Governor Gavin Newsom wrote in House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer asking for an investigation into the vile and offensive text messages, which he called the definition of conduct that can create a hostile and discriminatory environment that violates civil rights laws. Speaking on the Senate floor, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York on Tuesday described the chat as revolting, calling for Republicans, including Trump and Vance, to condemn these comments swiftly and unequivocally. Asked about the reporting, New York Governor Kathy Hochul called the exchanges vile and called for the consequences for those involved. Kick them out of the party, take away their official roles, stop using them as campaign advisors, Hochul said. There needs to be consequences. This bullshit has to stop. AP took that out, but we can say bullshit on our show. So what's our reaction here at AT News? This is just the quiet part being said out loud. That's all this is. The pearl clutching that we're seeing is from Republicans on this, mostly Democrats. I'm sure they're appalled by this, but I mean, hell yeah, this is a win for them. They've been taking it kind of hard recently. As far as Republicans saying this is not us, this doesn't represent us, you don't get to throw a, triumph funeral for a guy who opposed the Civil Rights Act and said horrible things about MLK and attacked the intelligence of black women, made comments about not trusting a black pilot. Like, you don't get to hold Charlie Kirk up as a martyr and a heroic figure for your party and then go on and decry language like this. Like, I'm sorry, but this is who you are. This is what you represent. At the very least, it's what you've allied with. This is not out of the ordinary. As far as this idea of the real shame here is that these people got caught saying this stuff and it was a private chat. Like, why are more people not talking about that? Like, that's a horrible lesson to teach you. It's like say and think these awful, disgusting, terrible things. Just don't get caught. It's not a lesson, or it's not an idea that we haven't heard before. There is kind of this sort of duality to a lot of conservatives where they literally see these things as separate. They see their public persona and their private persona as equally equally correct or equally representative of who they are as a person. Each one has value. There is no whole figure. Like, their private lives and their public lives are separate but equal, essentially. Another idea that they're big fans of. It comes up a lot when they get caught doing this stuff. They'll come out, they'll have their outrage, and they'll talk about how they'll present this sort of public idea. And honestly, I don't see why they're doing it anymore. That I think was the kind of, not the beauty of Trump, but the thing that made him so popular was that there is no private and public version of him. He is just the worst version of himself, and he gives other people permission to be the worst versions of themselves. And I guess we're seeing this sort of schism between younger Republicans who embrace that idea, the idea of just being, Alice is taking a phone call. This idea of, the private versus public persona. Like, no, these kids, these kids, they're in their 40s, for Christ's sakes. One of them is a state senator. It was J.D. Vance referring to them as kids. Ridiculous. But they're not unaware of the risk of their chats being leaked. It happened to Pete Hegseth, the Department of Defense, the whatever his fucking position is right now, chief pull-up guy. But they're aware of the risk of this. And I don't think they care, because there are other people out there who are associated with the party who are saying these quiet parts out loud and facing no consequences for it, and being honored by Republican leadership, by people in positions of power within the party. So I guess I'm just sick of the illusion they're trying to project. Like, we know who you are. This is not the first time you guys have been caught saying this shit. This is not the first time you've had a chat leaked where you're saying horrible stuff and praising Nazis. A lot of these people present ideas that are no different from sort of Nazi, Aryan, white race ideology type shit. It's no different from it in any meaningful way, other than a few words changed here. This idea, the code phrases, the dog whistles, the Western civilization, white identity, the falling birth rate of white people. It's the same shit. It's all Nazi shit. It's just not openly, Nazi. And these guys were, at least in this private jet, openly praising Nazis, openly declaring themselves to be that. And maybe they understand what the rest of us already do, that the hood is off. We know who you are. We know this is what you really believe. And why bother hiding it at this point? Because clearly, if the heads of your entire young Republican organization think and believe these things, and they're meant to be the people who represent that age demographic, it seems like that's probably a good indication that that's what that age demographic of your party actually believes. Because I don't hear any members of the Young Republicans coming out and denouncing this. Who are you going to have to step into these roles? You already probably picked who you would think are the best people to run this organization. I mean, these people aren't strangers to you. It's time to just sort of stop fighting these labels, I guess, on both sides. Anyway, for AT News, I'm Dave, and yeah, don't be careful what you say. Just own it. Say it with your chest. Have a good one.